Alright, and as we begin the third and final video of the lap around the lake with my aching hand, we will continue exactly where we left off with video 2 of 3 of the trilogy of early April trilogy of one lap around the lake. And obviously this, you'll notice if you look at the running time of this video, it's somewhere around 10 minutes. So turns out, I guess it only really takes me 40 minutes that's just constant paddling to do a lap around the lake. When I did commentary on the Let's Tour the Lake video, I tried to I don't know, I guess I've never timed it. I tried to think how long it's taken in the past, but those were leisurely paddles around the lake, not like non-stop paddling as I'm doing right now as I don't paddle. There you go. But coming up here, it's gonna be kind of funny because a branch strikes back. I'm going to show you that there are, this video was shot on April 4th, 2015, and there are actually, I was very pleased to see actual buds or whatever you want to call it on the end of these branches here, and I guess I pulled a little too hard because the branch, hit me back, which is kind of funny. So here I'm showing the shit. Yeah, the branch doesn't like to be fondled on the first date, I guess. So there's me trying to just appreciate nature and nature having its way with me, I guess. So I'm just everyone's bitch, I guess. But we're approaching a little cove or whatever you want to call it, which is really calm and really shallow and all this and that. I forgot to mention on the first two videos that, these really shallow inlets or coves or whatever you want to call them, you got to enjoy them in the spring because, come midsummer and all the way through the rest of the season, oh, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, it's gone. They get all lily padded up and a lot of weeds in this lake, unfortunately, when you get into the summer, mid and late summer season, unfortunately. So you kind of have to get out at this particular lake like crazy and enjoy it in the spring and the early summer before those weeds come. And then something that I don't really appreciate or really like very much because it's like Big Brother, like some kind of whatever state or local, outfit or whatever, come in like in May, I think, and dump all kinds of frickin', like anti-weed crap in the lake, like just chemicals and stuff, and they put up signs, warning, chemical, and it's just like it's what's ironic is it's like it doesn't even just do anything. I mean, it still ends up with weed. So I just, I never really like it when they come and pour chemicals in a beautiful lake. Obviously, I'm an anti-chemical kind of a fellow. And they'll have these 1 gallon milk, I might have to videotape them just to show you the ridiculousness of them. I think they pop up in May or something, these 1 gallon milk, plastic milk carton things or whatever, tied to a string with a warning on it all over the lake and stuff wherever they've dropped their presumably anti-weed poison or whatever. And it's just, you see all these swirling, when you paddle from then on for like, it seems like almost the rest of the season, at least weeks after they dump that crap, you just see it in your, your wake of the paddle, swirling chemicals, and it really kind of pisses me off, and I wouldn't say ruins the experience, but puts a damper on it for sure. Little chemical ballet as you propel yourself through the water with a paddle or whatever. I call it a paddle. I think you just call this thing a paddle. But right now on our on our left, the beach will be passing us by. I've never actually watched this all the way back. I mean, not watched this through, so I don't know how much beach we see. But I imagine we see some beach, and you might be able to see the pillars that I talked about in one of the, I think my very first of 3 biking on a beautiful spring day video, where I talked about, you know, on a hot July night or whatever, riding a bike down to this particular lake and swimming in the dark, all alone, the beaches to myself. I'm able to do that, not be harassed by cops. There they are. By putting my bike on the other side of one of these. It's the other pillar that should come in a shot. Anyway, the other pillar's just like it. It's where the lifeguards used to sit up there. There it is. That's the one I just leaned the bike against on this side here, and the cops driving by with their little spotlight can't see it. They can't see me in the water because I'm just up to my head. And that way you can get in some nighttime swimming on a hot, sticky July night, which I don't think, unfortunately, I did last year because it was relatively cool. If you remember, if you've watched some of my river videos last year, like the last one I did, or the last grouping I did in July, a bunch of videos on the river I mentioned that it was relatively cool summer in July and stuff, so it was kind of, you always worry this time of year, especially with, I don't know, all these gray days. I get a little anxious as summer approaches, and you kind of worry that what you waited for all winter you hope that you'll have some, like last summer I'd say we didn't have a whole hell of a lot of sun, which was kind of frustrating. But I guess you just have to appreciate the lack of snow and whatever warmth you can get. But hopefully I can do some midnight swims at this particular lake. That's another thing, I don't exactly love swimming in it after they dump the chemicals either, you know. Well, now we're going to approach the 4th and final interaction with someone. The first 2 were pretty good, and the last 2 were not so great, but it doesn't matter. There's some guy fishing, and I'm like, any bites? And he doesn't want to talk probably because, you know, he can see the camera or whatever. He doesn't want to get his voice on camera or something. I'm like, any bites? And he puts his hand up with 2, and I'm like, 2 bites? And I'm like, cool. You know, you can tell right away if someone doesn't really want to talk, and then I'll usually end the conversation, if you will, with the word cool, and just continue on my way. Cool's kind of like, you don't want to talk? Well, either do I, bastard. But that's one thing, obviously, that you have to, you know, take into consideration when you're trying to be a little more outgoing, is that not everyone wants to talk back to you. And you can't take it personally because it could be any number of reasons. And after, you know, I started watching a lot of people's social anxiety videos, I realized, well, a lot of people could be anxious, you know, and stuff. And, you know, a person wants to, or at least I tend to want to say, well, it must be something to do with me. That's kind of like the first thing a lot of people will think. It's just like, it must be something to do with me. But it's not necessarily anything to do with you why someone is quiet or doesn't want to talk to you. And even if it is, as I've said on recent videos, you can't let that bother you. It's anyone's right to not have any interest in you, just as it is to you not have any interest in anyone else. And you just have to leave it at that. And I try not to worry about it. So in closing, I think right here before we end, I think I made a point to not cut this video until you can see the fence on our left, on the camera, on the screen left, until you can see the fence that you could see at the beginning of the first video, just to show the proof that I in fact did a lap. Where is the fence? It should be coming right up any minute now. So thank you very much, especially to those of you who watched all of the 3 videos. Thank you there's the fence. Thank you very much for taking this trip with me, and maybe I'll do some more kayaking videos later in the spring and summer. Well, I will for sure. Thanks for watching.